Drippy Art with Mr. G. All right, today we are going to be modeling our own artwork after contemporary artist Jen Stark. She has some wonderful work. Since we are in a year of colors, this is going to be a great color project for us. You can see the amazing artwork that she does on buildings, on walls. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoy this one. All right, we're going to start with a fresh, brand new piece of white paper and a marker, and we're going to start from the very top left of the paper. What I'd like you to imagine is somebody took a great big paint bucket and threw it all against a wall, and the paint just started dripping down. And if you've ever seen paint drip, you'll notice that the very bottom of it is a little bit bigger than the top part of it. So I'm just going to imagine what that might look like. Just take my time making a drip here, bringing it back up, and maybe making another little drip here. The best way for this to come out is that each of your drips is a different length. Maybe one goes way up high, one goes way down low. One's bigger than another one. Maybe you've got a couple of two small ones kind of close to each other. And just take your time with your drips. Each one different than the other one. And then you can end anywhere on the right side there. Or if you are left-handed, you might want to start at the right hand of your paper and go the opposite way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over that line to make it a little bit darker. We're not going to do this with every line. Just this one here, and with our second layer of drips, we're going to do it with that one as well. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. All right, so now we're going to put our second layer of drips underneath somewhere. So we're just going to start somewhere. You can start in the middle of it, just as long as it's attached to one of the drips. So I'm going to start right here, and then just go down, slowly drip it. Make sure you're taking your time with this part of it, because this is probably the most intricate part that you're going to be doing. And this is being overlapped by this. I'm going to kind of slide through it. Add another drip right there. Let's just put one right here, and probably another little tiny one. Down and up. You notice that this is kind of soothing if you do it, if you take your time doing it. So now we've got our second layer, and maybe for the older kids, maybe we'll do one more or two. Youngers, you don't have to do a third layer. So now what we're going to do with our first drip line is we're going to kind of trace on the inside of that line. We're just going to kind of follow it along. This does not have to be perfect. This is just nice and loose, and just kind of follow along. If there's a big drip, you can go inside of it if you have some space and come back out of it. Right down this side and up the other side, and kind of get back up again. And we'll finish that line up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do that again and follow the inside of the next line. So it kind of gets a little bit easier as you go along too. You don't have to think as much. When you see the finished project of this, you can make your own decision as to how far apart you want these lines to be, because you'll be filling them all in. I kind of chose most of them to be pretty even with the other lines, kind of even spacing in between. And we have that first layer. Now we'll take our next drip line that we drew earlier and do the exact same thing. Just kind of gently roll along the side of it. In and out of the drip if we can fit into it. You can see right there that this is behind, so I'm just following my pencil, my marker all the way through. going inside here and out, inside there. Following along, nice little path. Now we'll speed this process up. Just do the exact same thing that we did on the top drip layer. We're just going to kind of follow it closely. Remember, if there's drips that are in front, we got to go behind those drips because they're overlapping. It should be pretty easy at this point. You just go line after line after line. Now I can move on to what most people consider the fun part. I've decided to use colored pencils with these. You can use crayons, you can use markers, and you're just going to start on that very first layer that we did, the very first line, and choose whatever color you want to fill that one in. Take your time and fill that one in. Now that we have that first layer of color on, the hardest part of this whole project probably is just choosing what the next color is going to be and what the next color is going to be. But it is a lot of fun, and you'll find yourself while you're doing this, maybe your mind will wander off while you're doing this, and you just kind of start thinking of other things too. You're giving your mind some rejuvenation time while you're doing this artwork, kind of getting into your right brain. So we're going to speed this up. Now I can move on to the underneath drip layer. If you only have 2 layers, this will be the final one. Just pick whatever colors you want to. I like to pick different colors that I have not used yet, and that works really well for the underlying layer there. And let's just do the same thing with different colors. I'll meet you at the end. Now, since I've chosen to do a third layer, I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did before. I'm just going to start with my marker and just follow the lines underneath it. This time, you may notice that I've decided on a different color scheme. I'm just going to go with kind of a nice, maybe a midnight blue and just white. Go every other stripe and finish it out. And that creates a beautiful contrast, which in this case means a big difference between one color and another. And we are finished. And now for my more advanced students, if you remember when we did neurographic art last year, we did kind of a similar color theme. I like to add a little bit of shadow. I taught you I had a little bit of shadow, and you put the shadow on one side of an object or the other side of an object, and it gives it a little bit of a depth. It gives it a little bit of a three-dimensional look. You do not have to do this, but if you'd like to experiment, it's a great time to do it. I just take my black colored pencil and I just go really lightly along the edge, and then I kind of push it out just a little bit, and you can kind of see how that works as I'm doing this. I'll speed this up too.